Hey guys, welcome back to Return of the Obra Dinn. We are in shaky watch mode, so right now, next step is to look around for the body, or for the next body. Actually, I want to see real quick if this guy, he is still blurry. Okay. And so is this guy. Okay. So, I think actually we're going to go ahead and let this go. And then here's our next body over here. A lot of the time, I think I said this last episode, but a lot of the time you don't necessarily need to chase this around unless you can tell it's moving far away from you, because it's going to loop around a lot, so unless it actually passes out of view, you don't really need to chase it. None of that sounds good. Alright. I think maybe we missed some words here, actually. Let's, No, not yet. Okay. So this was Maba. That was last time. So we've got an explosion up here. This guy's gone boom. And this guy's holding the ropes. Right there. Forgive me for popping around with the buttons too much. It's going to happen a lot. And we get another hint on this guy here, because he's running upstairs and his hands are full of guns, but he's still blurry. That's interesting. And then there's that guy. Let's see, anything else? Sometimes it will let you go upstairs and downstairs, but I can't get past him right now. And here's our buddy Maba, who's not dead yet. That's the door that's going to show up in a minute. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we missed that little bit of dialogue. Something weird happened. I think I hit the bring up the book button at exactly the wrong moment, and the game bugged a little bit. So this person, we don't know who they are yet, but they exploded. So that's still not very good for him. All right, and in the meantime, I'm going to go over here and check real quick just to make absolutely certain I can't do anything with this dude. Yeah. Okay. So, is there anybody else here? I don't think there's anyone else right now that we can identify. So that guy obviously got blown up. We're going to go ahead and go through the door. And then same thing, we're back on the deck. Now, one thing that's worth pointing out, if you don't immediately know where to go, usually it will actually tell you a location. So it says on the gun deck right there, and then on the bow, and, you know, etc. You don't have to do these in order. I've said that before. So if you just find a random body that you hadn't found before, you know, I mean, you can go ahead and jump to that. And honestly, like, I'm not doing this from notes, so it's entirely possible that at some point I'll do a sequence break without meaning to. But we know right now, that we need to be on the gun deck. This is the gun deck, so this is the second deck of the ship. And right away, you see the flies, and so we know that this guy's the first dude we've got to investigate. Ugh. So yeah, this unfortunate gentleman, that does not look pleasant at all. Right there. And let's see what else we can figure out down here. We still got these guys. They're both heading upstairs, I think. We can't get past them. Nobody over here, although there's stuff flying around. And then if we walk around, I think this way, yeah. And we've got a few more people. This guy, this other unfortunate soul. So we got some more bodies already here. This is not a great scene for everybody. But this is going to be the one that we're going to attach a fate to in a moment. Alright, and this guy was crushed by a cannon. And again, so if you feel like you know something, you know, the time you want to go attach fates and names to people is going to be during shaky watch time. But for the moment, we don't have anybody else that we can really say anything about, so we're just going to go ahead and let it find our next body. And it sends us over here to this unfortunate headless individual. I think the light's actually going to double back on. No, it's right here. Okay. So let's find out what happened to him. Boom! Yeah, that's trouble. So, we got you, Mr. Hat. We've got, I thought there were two in here. Is it just him? I guess it's just him. And then we have this guy. Barely, that's his leg right there. Actually can't bring him up. Yeah, we'll see him in a second. Although actually I want to point something out about him. Look at his pants. Notice how poofy his pants are. That will be a clue eventually when we figure out who he is. Is there anything else? Then over here we've got Maba and these two guys who are trying to light this cannon. Okay, so there were two bodies in there. All right, that's what I thought. I don't know why I couldn't find the second one. So this guy was shot by a cannon. We don't know who shot him yet, so we got to figure out who the person that was running the cannon at the time was. This guy also shot by a cannon, and again, we don't know who killed him just yet, so we will have to come back to that. So where is... I don't understand why I can't find the second body. Ah, well, doesn't matter. So now we're going to look at this fella. And we're already standing right next to where he's going to be, so we can... Oh, where'd it go? There it is. This is just going to loop around a little bit. This guy is buried underneath the cannon. Actually, can I get to him from here? Yes. Alright, so this one, he's right there. This guy is the one we were talking about a minute ago. And now we've got this fella right here who was just told to belay the spark, so he's about to accidentally light off the cannon, which is going to kill the two of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark him. Actually, we can't do it yet. The one thing that we know about him, actually, let's go ahead and look at this real quick. It's going to complain that he's blurry. Yeah, we saw this already. You can try anyway, and I basically just want to show you guys something. The poofy pants are an indication that he is from India, so we can narrow him down to a few people. He's either this guy, or he's going to be one of the 4 Indian seamen. Now, this is, later on we're going to have to do some guessing to figure out who some of these guys are, I think. But we've already nailed down, we've got him down to one of like 5 people. The game also will have unknown steward and unknown midshipman, unknown topman, unknown seaman. So occasionally, if you figure out what someone's job is, but you haven't nailed down who they are yet, you can use that unknown just to help you remember later on that you had this, I had this down to like 5 people or something like that. Unfortunately, you can't do it for their ethnicities. You just got to do it for their jobs. So, let's see. Was there anything else down here that we want to notice? The door's not open yet. And these guys over here are still trying to start this. So we don't know who he is, but what we do know is that he was crushed by a beast. Because the Kraken got him, so that's how this man died. So now the door is open. Walk through the door. Alright, now, again, we don't quite know where to go yet, but if we pop back on, it says on the bow, or on the bow, I believe the bow. So we're going to head back upstairs, and we're going to look and see what's new up here. So, actually, we check real quick. Actually, it's not really marked as the bow anywhere, is it? Interesting. So we're looking for some bodies or anything that we haven't seen yet. This is where not having taken notes is going to hurt me a little bit because I don't exactly remember which part I'm looking for. So we got that, we got him. We can't go down. Oh, gotcha, okay. So it's the way up on the bow, so in the front of the ship. So this is where we're looking. All right. Love it when the clips are just wet squelching sounds and gasping. So we got to figure out what happened to this fella. Now this one actually, you notice you've got the initials down there. You got that ES, but he's not in the picture. So we actually know right away who this is. This is the guy who drew the artwork. He is hearing that happening. And these guys are just sitting and chilling over a drink. Now, this is important. Do we know who this guy is yet? Yes, we do. This is Martin Parrott. And notice who he's with. He's walking with somebody who is carrying some dishes. So we know that this guy has to be Martin's steward. So we can go ahead and name him right now. So he's the steward for the third mate. There we go, third mate steward. So that's got to be Roderick Anderson. And this is the guy who was crushed by the cannon a minute ago. So we can just name him right now because we know who he is. This is another, actually, something else that's helpful is notice what he's wearing. That's a steward's outfit. So people in those black jackets are going to be the stewards. Can I tell you anything about these two? Chinese guy and... Alright, well. Again, remember, we can always come back to this later on. You know, if we miss something, we can always come back and look at it. So, we know two things about this guy. First of all, we do know that he was crushed by a beast. And second, again, we know he's the artist because his initials are on the painting and he's not in the painting. So this is therefore Edward Spratt. And there's a trophy. Now, one thing I want to point out right now that might come in handy, especially if you're not just like religiously watching every second of this, if you're just popping in and out. After you get one of those every 3 notices where they go through and, you know, show you whether you were right or not, come back here and take a look. Because if you have anything that is in handwriting, what that means is that something about what that was wrong. Because otherwise you would have gotten your 3 one person before. This will be a little bit clearer later on, but this, you know, they already have the names and then they're telling you what happened to each of them. So if I tell you that Nunzia Pasqua was shot with a gun, it'll be written in handwriting under here until it's verified. So if I've just gotten, you know, my 3 popped up, then I can always come back and take a look and just double check to see if there's anything that I got wrong. The other place where this is useful is if you have 2 that you're at least reasonably convinced are right, then that gives you an opportunity to do a little bit of targeted guessing. So like, you know that this guy is one of the 4 Indian seamen. And so you can just literally rotate through the names until you get your, until you get the right one to pop. And then again, that works if you are certain that you've got 2 correct. So if you've got a bunch that you're guessing about, then maybe not, but... Alright, so the main thing here was to go back. We got this guy, and we got the steward, and I think those were the main takeaways for here. Let's look up on the deck real quick since they're letting us get up here. Actually, there is some stuff going on the deck. We have this guy who's looking out. We have this gentleman here, and this is going to be where our next body is. Actually, let's take a look at this fellow real quick. Okay, he's another one where I kind of had him pegged early on, but I'm not going to do it until he shows up on blurry. The turban that he's wearing is a clue to who he is, but we will not do that just yet. Alright, so this is our next body. And you can go ahead and just follow the death smoke this time, since it's taking you upstairs. There we go.
Let me on. Over my dead body, you bloody day. How's that?
There's no cause for trouble, boys. Get in the boat.
Before I forget, you killed my brother. What? That was an accident. Little ropes.
It wasn't his fault. I saw the whole thing.
Lies. I shouldn't have waited so long.
No, don't.
Thud. Alright, so this is our guy here. We'll figure out who he is in a second. This is his assailant, who we have not named yet. This guy's just sitting here watching. This guy's on the boat also. And is there anybody else up here? It's just those 5 for right now. So we'll wait for this to close in. We can actually identify 2 different people at least and get a decent identification on a 3rd in this sequence. So we'll wait for this to close out. Okay, so first thing, just in case you didn't catch it, remember the talking, the ones with the X next to it are the person who was killed. So let me on, he's trying to get on the boat, and then this guy calls him, you bloody Dane. So that means he is from Denmark. Oops, not what I wanted to do. It's okay, we'll go back over to him. Alright, so, come on, there we go. So this guy has to be from Denmark. So what we're going to do is look at the nationalities. And as we do that, we are going to discover that there is only one Dane on the boat. So this has got to be Lars Lind. And what happened to him, he was clubbed by an unknown attacker. But if we look closely at the last names, we can get a decent idea. Actually, make sure I don't have that guy identified yet. I don't think I do. So, yeah, we don't know who this guy is yet. Yes, game, I know. So this is a deduction rating. A higher rating means that it will be more difficult to deduce this person's identity. Focus on the easily deduced identities first and leave the more difficult ones for later. I actually do not find that that system makes all that much sense. But anyway, let's just real quick... if you look at the last names, what you're going to notice is that as we go through, I'm trying to find him. Is it Peters? Yes, we have Nathan Peters right here from England and Samuel Peters here from England. So he's one of these 2 guys. What we do know is that he's a seaman because both of them are. So we're going to go ahead and put that there just to kind of remind us. And then later we'll get some more information that'll help us figure out which one he is. Or again, we can also, if we find out how he died, we can use, since we've got him down to 2 people, we can use just basic process of elimination to figure out who he is. Now, the other one is this dude here. Notice that he's carrying books. The only person on the boat who has any reason... And I am just going to go ahead and force this one through, even though the game tells me I can't figure this out yet. We're going to try anyway, because the only person on the boat who has any reason to be carrying books is the purser. The purser is the person who kept the records for everybody. And, as soon as they show him carrying his account books, we know who that guy is. And honestly, while I'm standing here... Oh, he's actually lit up. Interesting. This guy, notice that he's got his hand on the wheel... So this person has to be the helmsman. So this is Finley Dalton. I don't even know if we've only seen him in one memory so far, and I don't recall what was in the one memory that might let us know, but you can tell from the picture again, because he's standing here with his hand on the wheel. That's his job. So this is Finley Dalton, the helmsman. Is there anything else? This guy here, we're not going to do quite yet because he'll show up real obviously later. But I looked at him and saw the apron and was like, oh, I bet I know who that guy is. And I was right. But we get a pretty obvious indication of who he is later. So that's going to be good for right now. We've got our helmsman. We don't know who this is yet. And we got to figure out who that guy is. That's one of the Peters brothers, but we don't know which one. Off we go. Okay, now, some of these guys, and we'll come back and look at them later. Some of these guys, if we look at a couple of the earlier screens, and I must have just forgotten to mention them, you can actually see these people like being hurled off into space by the Kraken. But for right now, we'll go ahead and leave them alone. We'll see if we can figure out some names from other chapters. And then from there, we will figure out what's going to happen to him next. But I want to make sure that I got every section of the Doom. And it looks like I did. Okay, so the next thing is going to be Soldiers of the Sea, Part 8. And so they want us on the cargo deck looking for this next section. Now, this is actually a spot where I had, in both playthroughs, actually, I had a sequence break here because I couldn't find the guys. So again, if you find something that, you know, if you jump out of the sequence, it's not really that big of a deal. You can still do it. Actually, right now, can I get to the cargo deck? So this up here is that guy. Okay, hold on a minute. I may have to slightly jump past that and come back to it later. Because the cargo deck is all the way at the bottom. So actually I can't get to that just yet. So we are going to have to do a little bit of a sequence break. And basically what we're going to do is just look around for something we haven't found yet. So we've got all of these. Might remember that I was talking earlier in the game about occasionally having to use the right trigger. If you walk up to a door, your hand will reach out and grab it. Squeeze the right trigger. Now this door happens to be locked. Notice, by the way, that's an up and down line, and that's an X. That's a sign that it's locked. So we'll open this up, and we're just going to kind of look around in these rooms and see if we can spot anything, because we're not quite ready to get to the cargo deck yet. You do have to do a sequence break. Nothing in here. Nothing in here. So we got all four of these checked out. Notice there's some blood on the floor, though. So let's go ahead and go straight into this room. And indeed, here we have a body. So.
Oh no, you're cut.
Don't leave me.
Bear up, son. I'll stay with you.
Tell Pete's mother I tried my best
Aye,
to pull him back, to save him.
you tell her yourself. Brennan, bring the surgeon's kit.
Alright, so important piece of information. Here's our dead guy. It's that guy right there. And this is one of the captain, not the first mate. So that's William Hoskett. This is a place where you want to look at the map real quick and figure out where you are. We are in, let's see whose room. We are not, oh no, we're on the gun deck. Let's actually go in the room with him real quick. Let's pop in here. Where's the map? Right there. So we are in the midshipman's room. So this guy here is one of the midshipmen. I'll give you some more information about that in a second. Notice basically what happened is after he got stabbed, he crawled to his room. Look over here. We got this guy coming down the stairs because he heard some kind of chaos. This guy is who Hoskett was talking to. You can see he's holding his hand by his ear. So let's go ahead and name him real quick. We know that this, therefore, is Mr. Brennan. Where are you at? There we go. This is Henry Brennan. And he actually, we've already seen him get killed. He's one of the last survivors, basically. And then we got a couple more bodies on the floor. And again, this guy coming downstairs. So, actually what we can do real quick with him, won't let us ID him just yet. All right. All right, how did he die? He was stabbed, knifed. We don't know yet who has knifed him, so we're going to back out. You can look at this again if you want to. Your cut, that's how we know. The Pete's mother thing, again, is going to be useful, and actually even says in the midshipman cabin right there. So, actually what we can do is we can go ahead and call him an unknown shipman. Notice here's Pete. So this guy is either Charles Hershtick or Thomas Lanke. So there's 3 midshipmen. He's got to be one of the other 2. We know he's not Pete. We'll go ahead and call him an unknown midshipman for right now. And then let's see. We know that. We know him. We know Henry Brennan. And this is the dude coming down the stairs. So... all right, I think that's everything we need right now. So this gets kind of confusing. So first body's right here. What we know is there's a couple of them already. Got to open the door again. And again, the only time you're using the right triggers at all on the PlayStation version, at least, is when you are opening doors. All right, let's find out what happened here. All right, so again, we've popped backwards in time a little bit. This is not Brennan. This is Hoskett. Hoskett is noticing our midshipman buddy who's got a knife in his back and is crawling to his room. Now we know who this is. Again, this is Brennan, and Brennan is smacking this gentleman in the head. Now we know from his outfit that he's going to be part of the officers. So this is going to be a mate of some kind, but Brennan is clubbing him to death. Can't see in there yet. I think this is all for right now. Wish there was a button to go ahead and jump to the next sequence rather than just wandering around. Alright, so we don't quite know who he is yet, but we know that he was clubbed. And who was he clubbed by? He was clubbed by Henry Brennan. So we know his death, we just don't know his name. That's all we got for right now. Here's our second body. His head's in two pieces, so we got a problem here. And again, just stand still, because this is just going to loop around and then immediately find this other body. Dun dun! Alright, so we've got a tussle. This is, again, that captain that just got his head clubbed in. This guy is another member of, looks like the, oh, wait a minute. Okay, different dude. And then if we look down here, this guy's not as far along as he was a minute ago. This is the guy who's just yelling mutiny. And then we have these two up here who are heading downstairs. We actually got all kinds of other fun going on up here. But we'll get to this in a minute. And then this is the captain right here who's having a rough day. But these two will both be downstairs in a second because they hear this guy yelling mutiny and crawling away with a knife in his back. And I want to point out again, you'll hear me say this, I'll say this at least a couple more times, I'm sure, but I did not put all this together immediately during my first playthrough. Like, it's all there, but it's, there's just a lot going on. Okay, so, Captain cannot be trusted. Again, this is the guy who was shot, so we know that he was shot. Again, I'm going to put that here with a gun. And do we know who shot him? Do we know who this is? I don't think we do. No, we don't know who he is yet, so we can't identify the shooter. And I think that's all we need. We just got that one piece of information to describe how he got there's blood on the ceiling. Gross. And then, let's see. Now this is going to take us upstairs for all of this nonsense. That's how cursed this this ship was that they can't even really keep their murders isolated. Like, we had people getting killed down here while all this up here was happening at the same time. All right, so we got this dude. Let's find out what happened to him. Dun dun. Ah. So, we got some folks on the boat. This is one of our two women. Or two women who are left, at least. We've got this guy. And then we move over here. We can just barely see her. Is there anybody else on the boat right now? We got this dude who's climbing up the rigging. We've got this guy already dead on the ground. This guy getting his back blown out, but not in the way you want it to. And these two who are about to turn around and head back downstairs, coming up toward it. And then the captain is right here. And this guy is just kind of hanging out being shocked. So, lots of stuff going on. And let's see if I can make it down before the scene closes in. If we pop down here, yes, we can see that our guy who's stabbed is being chased. So, a couple things to do. First things first. So this guy was shot. Now, who was he shot by? Go back upstairs for a sec. We'll come back to this. Now, there are only 2 other women on the boat other than Abigail. And I think this will let us identify both of them, actually. So, we have her. And yes, okay, it will. So we have this woman who's next to her on the boat down there, and we have this woman. And I don't know if this is as obvious to everybody as it seems to be to me, but it seems to me like this woman is the older of the 2 women. So this, therefore, is Emily Jackson. And this is Miss Jane Bird. Now, that's kind of guessing, just based on their appearance, but it, as it turns out, is a pretty solid guess. So we've got these 2 identified. And so we can say then, shot with a gun by Emily Jackson. We do not know his name yet. Now, if we head back downstairs, I don't remember if we can actually identify. So this is our midshipman who's running away, and this is the guy who's about to stab him. And we don't know who he is yet, but again, actually we can call him... no reason to. We could call him an unknown officer if we wanted to, but for right now we don't know who he is. But this is the dude who did the stabbing. So... I think that'll do. See what happened here. And again, that's going to loop around, and then the body's right there. So we'll just stay still. Watch the smoke. We'll find out what this is in a bit, by the way. This shiny thing in the middle of nowhere here.
Last one. Move quick.
Alright, so we got our man getting stabbed. Same set of people down below who are trying to leave. Captain is about to fire a warning shot. These 2 are running up here. And just for a little bit more evidence downstairs, if we come down here, we see that this guy is, this is the guy who was stabbed, is eavesdropping on these 3. So this is going to be our mutiny yeller here, and then they hear him and chase him. Do. There we go. All right, now let's look at this again. Last one, move quick, and damn. That's a great thing to say when you're stabbed. But note the words Paul, look out. So we'll back out of here. This has therefore got to be Paul. And again, the game does not play game. The game doesn't play games with any kind of, oh, there's 3 Pauls on the boat, which, there might have been in 1806. And I just passed him up. Where'd he go? Paul, the first mate steward again. Look at his clothes. So he's dressed in that steward's outfit. And what happened to him? He was killed with a sword. We still don't know who the killer is just yet. And now this, I believe, will take us back downstairs. Whoops, wrong button. Yeah. So there's the body shining through the floor. So let's head down here. And this will be the last part of this chapter with this armless fella laying here. Where's the smoke? Come on.
Put me down. Let me go.
Easy now. You're in a bad way.
It's the squid. Where is my Frenchman?
The squid's gone. Your mate was torn apart.
The cat. The beast is dead. How? How did you kill it?
We didn't. It left with the storm. Captain came up from the hold. Said he chased it off. You should rest.
Curse like that. Does that it for nothing?
All right, so got a bunch of stuff going on down here. He's coming up from the hold. This is the guy who got stabbed. There's the captain also coming up from the hold, or from lower in the ship at least. But back in here, we have these three. So we have this guy, and we have this guy. This is the stabber. And we have this guy, and we will show you how we can identify him in a minute. Oh, also important, this guy right here, who I think actually we've already identified. Yeah, this is the first mate, but notice that he's coming out of his room. If we look at the map, do I have time to do that? Just another little bit of evidence that we got that right. But if we look at the map of the boat, we are standing outside of the first mate's room, which is right here, and he is coming out of his room. So if we didn't already know that that guy was the first mate, the fact that he's leaving his room right now is a pretty good sign. Okay, so first thing, how did he die? And I feel like torn apart is the right answer. He was torn apart by a beast. I feel like maybe at one point I got this guy's death wrong. Now, who is he though? Let's back up a little bit. Let's read the dialogue one more time. He's asking where his Frenchman is, and he says verdammt. So that is German. So we're going to look and see. We have the bosun, who is from Austria, which is a German-speaking country. He's asking for his Frenchman, and the bosun's mate is French. So we do have another Austrian who is the gunner, but this is pretty clear evidence right here that this is Alfred Klestel. And so we've got all three of his things, if we're correct about him being torn apart. Now, let me look. Actually, you know what? Here's a good time to go check. This can give us some evidence about whether we're correct on that or not. We're going to back up to the beginning. And like I said earlier, we're going to look at this. So Klestel, that's one. Some unknowns. Killed by an unknown. Clubbed by an unknown. And two. Okay, so we've got two people who we maybe have fully identified, but if we're able to identify anybody else with certainty and it doesn't pop for a 3, and turn them into typeset, then we know to come back and double check on Klestel, because we didn't actually see him get his arm ripped off. Now, these guys. Still don't know who he is. Still don't know who he is. So, not much we can do right there just yet. First mate's coming out. Captain's going upstairs. And there's our door back there. So it's going to take a little bit longer, I think, until we can identify these two. I think. Yeah. It'll take a little bit longer. We'll come back for them later. So at this point, we'll go ahead and head out the door. And we're going to add some people at the end here. Now, it's interesting that he's still blurry. These 4 people were the 4 that were on the boat. And we already know, and this is something that had me confused. Oh, no, wait, because we can't tell which one of these this is. It took me a while to figure this out because they're on the boat. They're leaving. There's no like storms or anything. So as far as we know, these folks are alive, right? But if you hit the alive button, you've got all of this. And it's like, guys, how am I supposed to figure that out? Well, at the beginning of the game, you got that letter from Morocco, from Henry Evans, who is the doctor. And again, it took me forever to remember this. So they are in Africa. Oh, look at that. Okay, so he was torn apart. We got that right. And we know Emily is alive in Africa. And we properly identified Henry Brennan. So one way or another, we're going to go back to that page again. All 4 of these people are alive in Africa. And we don't know which of these 2... Technically, we don't know which 2 of these is the doctor. I mean, you can make a pretty good guess from looking at their clothes, but we'll hold off to it later. One way or another, we know all 4 of them are alive in Africa. And we know one of these 2 guys has to be the ship's doctor. So, pop out of this. And we are now back in wander the boat mode, and I think actually we're at 53 minutes, so we're going to call this an episode, and we will pick back up with our next chapter. So we did chapter 9, which was escape. We haven't done chapter 8 yet. That's the one that the game doesn't tell you anything about. And we did chapter 7, so we actually did a little bit of a sequence break because we did 7 before we did 8. So maybe now we can get down into the cargo deck. We'll check on that next episode. Like always, if you're having fun, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll be back. I think probably tomorrow. I think we're going to do an episode a day if you're watching this in real time. But we'll be back with more soon. Thanks for watching.